Hand to face gestures. How can you tell when someone is lying? Recognition of the non-verbal deceit gestures can be one of the most important observation skills one can acquire. So, what deceit signals can give people away? One of the most commonly used symbols of deceit is that of three wise monkeys who hear, speak, and see no evil. The hand to face actions depicted form the basis of the human deceit gestures. In other words, when we see, speak, and hear untruths or deceit, we often attempt to cover our mouth, eyes, or ears with our hands. Have you ever noticed if the young child tells a lie, he will often cover his mouth with his hands in an attempt to stop the deceitful words from coming out? Or, if he does not wish to listen to a reprimanding parent, he simply covers his ears with his hands. And when he sees something he doesn't wish to look at, he covers his eyes with his hands or arms. As a person becomes older, the hand to face gestures become more refined and less obvious, but they still occur when a person is lying, covering up, or witnessing deceit. Here, deceit can also mean doubt, uncertainty, lying, or exaggeration. When someone uses a hand to face gesture, it doesn't always mean that he or she is lying. It does indicate, however, that the person could be holding back information, and further observation of the other gesture cluster can confirm or deny your suspicions. The mouth guard. The mouth guard is one of the few adult gestures that is obvious as child's. Here, the hand covers the mouth and the thumb is pressed against the cheek as the brain subconsciously instructs it to try and suppress the deceitful words that are being said. Sometimes, this gesture may only be several fingers over the mouth or even a closed fist, but its meaning remains the same. Nose touching. In essence, the nose touch gesture is a sophisticated and a disguised version of the mouth guard gesture. It may consist of several light rubs below the nose, or it may be one quick, almost unnoticeable touch. One explanation of the origin of the nose touch gesture is that as the negative thoughts enters the mind, the subconscious instructs the hand to cover the mouth. But at the last moment, in an attempt to appear less obvious, the hand pulls away from the face and a quick nose touch gesture is the result. Another explanation is that lying causes the delicate nerve endings in the nose to tingle, and the rubbing action takes place to satisfy this feeling. It is frequently asked, but what if the person has only an itchy nose? The answer to that is the itch in a person's nose is normally satisfied by a very deliberate rubbing or scratching action, as opposed to the light stroke of the nose touch gesture. The eye rub. See no evil, says the wise monkey. This gesture is the brain's attempt to block out the deceit, doubt, or lie that it sees, or to avoid having to look at the face of the person to whom he is telling the lie. The ear rub. The ear rub is an attempt by the listener to hear no evil in trying to block the words by putting the hands around or over the ear. Other variations of the ear rub gestures include rubbing the back of the ear, the finger drill, where the fingertip is screwed back and forth inside the ear, pulling at the earlobe, or bending the entire ear forward to cover the ear hole. This last gesture is a signal that the person has heard enough. The neck scratch. In this case, the index finger of the writing hand scratches below the earlobe or may even scratch the side of the neck. This gesture is a signal of doubt or uncertainty and is characteristic of a person who says, "I'm not sure I agree." It is very noticeable when the verbal language contradicts it. For example, when the person says something like, "I can understand how you feel," but the neck scratch indicates they do not. The collar pull. Telling of a lie causes a tingling sensation in the delicate facial and neck tissue, and a rub or a scratch comes in place to satisfy it. This is the explanation of why some people use the collar pull gesture when they tell a lie or suspect that they have been caught out. It is also used when a person is feeling angry or frustrated and needs to pull the collar away from his neck in an attempt to let the cool air circulate around it. Boredom. When the listener begins to use his hand to support his head, it's a signal that boredom has set in, and his supporting hand is an attempt to hold his head up to stop himself from falling asleep. The degree of the listener's boredom is related to the extent to which his arms and hands are supporting his head. Extreme boredom and lack of interest are shown when his head is fully supported by the hand. And the ultimate boredom signal occurs when the head is on the desk or table and the person is snoring. Drumming the fingers on the table and continual tapping of the feet on the floor are often misinterpreted by professional speakers as boredom signals, but in fact, they signal impatience. When you, as a speaker, notice these signals, a strategic move must be made to get the finger drummer or foot tapper involved in your conversation, thus avoiding his negative effect on the other members of the audience. The audience who displays boredom and impatience signals together is telling the speaker that it's time for him to end the speech. It is worth noting that the speed of the finger tap or foot tap is related to the extent of person's impatience. The faster the taps, the more impatient the listener is becoming. Evaluation. Evaluation is shown by the closed hand resting on the cheek, often with the index finger pointing upwards. Should the person begin to lose interest but wish to appear interested, for courtesy's sake, the position will alter slightly so that the heel of the palm supports the head, as shown in the previous picture. I have attended numerous management meetings where the young up and coming managers have used this interest gesture to show respect to the company's president, who is giving a lengthy speech. Unfortunately for them, as soon as their hand supports the head in any way, it gives the game away, and the president is likely to feel that some of the young managers are insincere or using false flattery. Genuine interest is shown when the hand is on the cheek and not used as a head support. Here, an easy way for the president to gain their individual attention would be to say something like, "I'm glad that you're paying attention because in a moment I'm going to ask questions." Now, this holds together his listeners' attention to his speech because of the fear that they will not be able to answer the question. Critical thoughts. When the index finger points vertically up the cheek and the thumb supports the chin, the listener is having negative or critical thoughts about the speaker or his subject. Often the index finger may rub or pull at the eye as the negative thoughts continue. Because a gesture position affects a person's attitude. The longer a person holds the gesture, the longer the critical attitude will remain. This gesture is a signal that immediate action is required by the speaker, either by involving the listener in what he is saying or by ending the speech. This gesture is often mistaken as a signal of interest, but the supporting thumb tells the truth about the critical attitude. Chin stroking. The next time you have the opportunity to present an idea to a group of people, watch them carefully as you give your idea. You may notice that most will bring one hand up to their face and use evaluation gesture. And as soon as you end the presentation and ask the group to give their opinions or suggestions about your idea, the evaluation gesture will stop and a chin stroking gesture will begin. This chin stroke is a signal that the listener is going through the decision making process. Head slapping and pain in the neck gesture. An exaggerated version of the collar pull gesture is the palm rubbing the back of the neck, which is also called pain in the neck gesture. This gesture is also used as a signal of frustration or anger, and when this is the case, the hand slaps the back of the neck first and then begins to rub the neck. Let's understand this by an example. Assume that you have asked a subordinate to complete a certain task for you, and that the subordinate had forgotten to do it within the time required. When you ask him for the results, he non-verbally signals his forgetfulness by slapping his hand either on the forehead or the back of the neck as if he is symbolically hitting himself. Although slapping of the head communicates forgetfulness, the person signals how he feels about you or the situation by the position when he slaps his hand on his head, either the forehead or the neck. If he slaps his forehead, he signals that he is not intimidated by your having mentioned his forgetfulness. But when he slaps the back of his neck, he non-verbally tells you that you are literally a pain in the neck for pointing out his error. Whereas those who habitually rub their foreheads to non-verbalize an error tend to be more open and easygoing people.